All right, I'm going to try and do this in one take because talking to myself on camera does not come naturally to me. So apologies if I start waffling or just going completely off track. But just a short video to talk about a couple of CE5 experiences I had recently. Uh, One was a couple of months back, and the most recent one was on Friday that's just gone a few nights ago. Both happened in Wales, southwest Wales, sort of near Pendine Beach, just north of that. I've been a long time lurker on UFO Twitter and all the UFO stuff, like websites, and gone deep in all the documentaries and consciousness stuff and nuts and bolts and all that funky esoteric occult stuff, and it's super interesting. But yeah, I think I kind of got started in this in 2020. I went through a pretty bad depression period of just kind of terribleness, really, with life, and then stumbled across our old friend Stephen Greer. People have got completely random, different opinions on him. I'm just going to say that's how I just got involved. I saw a documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but one of his first ones or second ones. And it kind of struck a chord with me about the consciousness connection somewhere along the line. I've always had an interest in UFOs and space, and I'm massively into tech and the universe and astronomy and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, just kind of, I thought it was cool, and it kind of gave me some hope after I was in that pretty rough place. So yeah, I did a lot of reading and a lot of looking at videos and listening to other people's experiences, which is super cool, like UFO Twitter and a lot of people on YouTube as well. I won't mention names, but there's a lot of people out there that have had some really profound experiences and have really helped, like me especially, just kind of having a pretty skeptical sort of mindset, just to kind of push me a little bit more and be a bit more, I don't know how you'd say it, maybe brave with the subject and just kind of tackle it a bit more head on, be a bit more proactive with it. But yeah, I started doing this sort of CE5 unofficially really in between 2020 and 2022, so the last couple of years. And this was in sort of the Berkshire area, which is just sort of west of London, in the place I was living. And I had a couple of experiences with internal lights going on and off after a meditation and sort of a CE5 out in the garden. These not super often, just I think once or twice, handful of times really. And that could have been anything, but the timing was quite suspicious, doing this sort of thing. A couple of sightings in the sky, but again, hard to distinguish anything majorly different from a satellite. One was a sort of a golden colour and moved pretty rapidly across the sky, but there's so much stuff up there. Even though I think I've got a pretty good knowledge of the satellites that we've got up there and how they move and weather and aircraft, all this sort of stuff. I might maybe touch on my background maybe in another video or a bit later on in this video, depending on how long this is. It's 4 minutes already, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I was doing some CE5 stuff there, and I didn't really have any, or tell a lie, I did have one. I should have really looked at my notes. I make notes each time I have some sort of experience, whether it's mundane or whatever, and one's just come to mind. So when I was in sort of west of London in that town, I had one where there was two white lights. This was in the north, just above the horizon. Two white lights, equidistant apart from each other, moving from left to right. Yeah, and I was facing north, and they moved from left to right. So to the east from my perspective. The left one flashed. I don't know if I had asked for something, maybe along those lines, if you can flash or do something. The left one definitely flashed, or people might call it a power up, I don't know, but it did something, the other one didn't. And then they just continued to the right and faded away. I think that's probably the most interesting one I had when I was living there. I guess you'd call it a precognitive dream. One night I had a very vivid dream that I was putting some stuff in the boot of my car, ready to go travelling to Wales, which is where I now live, to visit my parents who were living there at the time. And a particular plane, as I've worked in aviation, a particular plane from an airfield that I used to work at flew overhead, and the registration was very clear to me, and I remember thinking, oh, I recognise that plane from the airfield I used to work at. That's random that it's flying over here. Well, not super random, it's kind of close by to the airfield in a way. And I woke up and I remembered the dream, and that morning I was going out to my parents' place, obviously to go visit, and that dream played out pretty much scene for scene. Put his stuff in the boot of the car, heard an aircraft, it's a light aircraft, it's not a jet or anything, it's a small propeller plane, and it flew overhead, and it was the same aircraft, same reg, same type, flying the same direction. And this was after this was the sort of the morning after I've been doing a CE5 and a couple of meditations as well. Like during the week, I've been trying to do some meditating, trying to get a bit more consistent with it. That's the only sort of really vivid sort of precognitive dream, I guess you could call it. I'm just going to air quote everything because I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, that was cool. Something that I remembered. And then I've been really terrible with meditation. I haven't got a schedule. I've been doing anything. I've been really poor. Hardly done it. But yeah, fast forward to the CE5 things. One was a few months back, maybe sort of in the winter time, maybe towards the end of last year, perhaps. Time's going so quickly now, I lose track. It's probably in my notes, I should have checked it. Sorry, 7 minutes long. Yeah, I was doing it, asking for stuff. I was sitting in my bedroom. I've got a window that looks out on some fields and some like cows and some trees. It's in the middle of nowhere, very small, tiny village with no neighbours really, down the road from a larger town. And I was looking west. It was a clear night, and I was asking for something to come and interact with me if it wanted to, and I wasn't visualising anything in particular. I was just kind of doing that typical visualise where you are and beam it up and expand out and do all this. Just kind of flicking between different things that I was thinking of at the time. And I had a couple of other experiences where I was I was probably getting scared a little bit easier than I would like to admit. So I was kind of remember saying, if you could tell me something a bit further away that I could still recognise, but not frighten me because I scare easily. And I think I didn't even finish that thought, of show me something a bit less in my face, when there was a triangle on its side. It was 3 points of light. So imagine 1, 2, and then 1 here. So it's kind of tipped over but slightly angled up. And it came from the horizon, still looking west, and it kind of shot up in an arc. So it came from the horizon kind of up, arcing sort of towards me, but also to the north. It was kind of going north from my perspective. And it probably lasted about 10 seconds or so. And it looked like it was moving pretty constantly, but pretty rapidly. It kind of shot up over the horizon. And then the first one, it must have slowed down because otherwise it wouldn't have been 10 seconds or so. But the first one just faded out pretty quickly, and then the other two kind of continued in that same trajectory but faded out, and they all kind of stayed equidistant. They didn't drift apart or anything. It was just a triangle. I wouldn't say it was what's the word, equilateral. It was kind of like almost like a little bit stretched out, and this one faded out, and then these two kind of faded out as well. So that was kind of the first triangle experiences I had, and then the most recent one was on Friday just gone, or Thursday night, Friday morning, so the 9th, about 1 o'clock in the morning, sitting at my bedroom window again. Clear night, no moon, no clouds. It was a warm night. It's a bit of a heat wave here in the UK at the minute, and there was no weather to speak of. It was warm, it was still. There was bats sort of flying around outside my bedroom window because they kind of nest in the roof, so they're all going mental outside. But I was doing a visualization. I was asking something to come and interact with me if it wanted to, if it was safe to do so. Only like a positive encounter, and I visualized this time a triangle of 3 white lights, not connected, to see 3 separate white lights, but I imagined them kind of spinning around. So imagine like 3 dots on a spinning top, just kind of doing this, spinning around each other, but going across the sky that I was looking at. Same windows, still looking west, out over these fields and my back garden. And I did that for about 20 minutes, and I saw satellites, maybe a couple of really faint shooting stars, because the light pollution is pretty small there. There's not much to speak of. Did that for 20 minutes. I was getting a bit bored. It was about 1:15 at this point. And there's a bright star up to the left, Arcturus, I believe it's called. You can probably look at a sky app to find it. And I looked to the left of that. So I was looking left to the south along the side of my house, and up by this star Arcturus to the left of that, kind of faded in, like phased in. I don't know how you describe it, but it was a perfect equilateral triangle. 2 white lights at the bottom, 1 white light at the top. Came from the south. Not from the horizon, I couldn't see the horizon, but it was already pretty high up. And it came towards the house. Excuse me. Came towards the house where I was sitting, sort of up, just in this kind of orientation, just kind of up towards the house, and kind of slowed almost to a stop, about a 45-degree angle from me. Each white light got pretty bright. I would say the brightness was comparable to, like, if you've seen the International Space Station, that's usually brighter than most stars in the sky. Maybe like a Jupiter bright, if you've seen that can be pretty bright. Yeah, each one of those got pretty bright, outshone pretty much all the stars that I was seeing, and it was extremely noticeable. Kind of hung there for a second, seemingly almost to stop. I had a minor panic attack. My heart was racing at some ridiculous speed, and I was a bit shaky, and a bit fearful, because of how obvious this thing was, and then it seemed to have stopped. And this whole process is probably about 20 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but 20 seconds Mississippi feels like a long time. And it just kind of slowly kept moving up towards the roof of the house and sort of above me, and just faded out pretty quickly, until I just couldn't see it anymore visually. I've just completely lost it with the other stars, and it just completely gone. It didn't shoot off or anything. It just faded away, but it moved completely in sync. There was one didn't move before the other. It was like a solid object, but it didn't block out any stars. I couldn't see any mass there. All I could see was 3 very bright star-like lights. They're white. They weren't a different color. There's nothing else going on. It appeared and it went, and I've never seen anything like it. It was very close. If I'd held out my palm at arm's length up at the sky, it would have just about covered it. So it wasn't massive, but it could have been seemingly large, but very high up, or smaller and lower down. It was hard to tell. But yeah, I've had sort of a career in aviation in different aspects. I've got a long time in just having an interest in space and astronomy and the universe and physics and all this sort of stuff. And I'm interested in what Elon's doing with Starlink and all this fun stuff. So I kind of know what satellites are up there, how they move in the sky, how long it takes to move from the sky, how junk can be in orbit and it can reflect the sunlight at certain times, iridium flares, um, all sorts of stuff, weather, aviation. I'm pretty switched on with all that stuff because I've just got an interest in it, and how stuff moves in the sky. And it moved pretty conventionally in the sense that it just kind of moved towards me and then kind of seemingly stopped or just got very, very slow and then carried on again. But it just didn't look, it was just a perfect triangle, 3 white lights moving in synchrony, and then just disappeared. And it was something that I was asking for. So, yeah, pretty crazy. I don't really know how to process that. Like I said, I've been looking into this whole UFO stuff for a number of years, probably like a lot of people out there. And all I can say is I know enough to know that I don't know anything. But it was really cool. I was really thankful that I saw that. I do want to do more of it, but like a few people have said on here, like when you've had a couple of sort of experiences, and mine aren't anything special compared to a lot of people out there, it makes you pause and think, should I keep doing this? Because I don't really know what I'm getting in contact with. Is it non-human intelligence that's responding, or is it something that we are creating somehow? I don't know, but it was really cool. It was scary, but super exciting at the same time. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that. It's been 16 minutes and I don't even know if it's going to let me upload this or not. And I'm terrible at video editing, so yeah, take that for what you will. It'll be interesting to see if anyone else has had similar experiences, especially in like Southwest Wales where I'm based. It'll be cool. But yeah, I'm going to do some more. I kind of want to get some mates on it as well, but I have a small friendship group, and most of them, in fact, all of them don't really get this whole topic, and they don't like talking about it, and they just laugh it off, which is, I'm sure a lot of people can attest to. It's just frustrating and sad and annoying, but everyone's on their own journey, so I can't really be too frustrated with them. But it still sucks when there's all this going on, and I think we're capable of a lot more than we're told that we are. But yeah, I've rambled on too long. If anyone wants to sort of connect, then I'm on UFO Twitter. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'll just drop some comments. I don't know. I'll probably just pop this on YouTube or something. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you. Have a good night.